Now let us focus on some more functions that can help you work with data spread across multiple cells and trying to organize them. First, to begin with, I would like to have some names over here. So first name, middle name, and then the last name. So I'll just expand the column width over here. Yes. So first I have John, Michael Smith, and then we have another Tony McGill. Now we have this data over here, and I would like to have a full name reflecting over here on a single cell. So I say full name. Now, in case if you want all three of them to be in one cell, what is the easiest way? Well, you cannot use just this and plus sign over here, because plus sign is for an arithmetic operation. So we cannot use this. But instead, in Excel, whenever you want to join values from two cells, or join two set of data, either a function and a string or anything, any components that you want them to be side by side, you need to use the ampersand sign. So I use an ampersand, and then I select Michael, and again ampersand. Now, whenever you have an ampersand over here, it indicates to Excel that you are trying to join two things over here. For example, here we have B3 and C3. They will be joined with the help of the ampersand, and further C3 and D3 would be joined. That's what it shows. What happens when we hit enter? Well, John Michael Smith, that's good. Now, if I were to apply the same thing over here, that's Tony, ampersand, middle name, ampersand, last name. Well, we have Tony McGill. But look at this. There is no middle name, and at least there should have been a space over here, which we find it missing. What if I had something like K? It does show that. But I would like to have some spaces over here so that I can easily differentiate between each part of the name. And in order to do that, I'll just rewrite the formula, and along with the ampersand, I'll use double quotes space. I'll put a space within the double quotes and again use ampersand. So what exactly is happening here? This is one object. I have ampersand, and the space in double quotes is another object, and I'm joining both of them, and hence we use ampersand between them. Now between the space and C3, again we are joining the space and the C3, so again we need an ampersand. Now between C3 and D3, although they are joined with the help of an ampersand, we don't see a space there. So I need to put a space, but space is also a form of text, so I need to put it within double quotes. Now space and D3 needs to be joined. If I miss on this, Excel will return an error. I click OK, and here we are back at it. Just need to ampersand, and that's it. Now can we try the same thing over here for Tony Michael? We put a double quote and space between the double quotes, ampersand, again ampersand, space within double quotes, and then ampersand, and here we have this. But hey, look at this. Tony McGill. There is a wider gap over here, and John and Michael has lesser gap. That's because now we have two spaces in place over here. That's the space one over here and the other space over here. Now it would be really cumbersome for us to try some different form of if functions and get this done. It is very much doable. But thankfully, Excel has given us better option here. Let me just introduce you to functions. First function, what we had done earlier without the ampersand, that can be doable with the help of concatenate function or concat function. Formerly, earlier it was concatenate. Whenever you see an exclamation next to it, there is a possibility that it could be deprecated soon or no longer in use. So try to use the latest ones and avoid using the ones with the yellow mark on it, because either they are meant for compatibility with older versions or maybe some others. At times you might also find the functions which are meant to be compatible with Lotus Notes as well. So you can ignore that. Both of them do the same job. This is the latest version of that same function. We'll use this function. Concatenates a list of range of text strings. So here it's asking for text1, and comma text2. You can do this, or instead of comma, you can just select the entire range as well, and that's absolutely fine. Just select that and close the brackets, and here you have this. Now this is exactly the same view what you had earlier, and I mentioned this as using concat function. You have this. Let's try this again, concat. Now had I just selected one by one, okay, now just because there is nothing over here, I should not leave it if I need to maintain uniformity in my formulas. Just imagine if there were 500 odd records, it would really be difficult for me to manually find out who does not have a middle name. Okay, let's give an exception to the function over here or the formula. It would be very difficult. Maybe I just need a one-stop solution. So concat function may not do that job for us, but we also have another function called as TEXTJOIN. So let me type using TEXTJOIN. That's another new function over here. And what does it do? We say TEXTJOIN. First it asks for delimiter. Now what do you mean by delimiter? Or in a very crude layman's language, I would say a separator. How do you want to differentiate or separate between John and Michael? Do you want it to be separated with a comma? Well, you can do that. You can try with this, comma followed by the space. But then again, this has to be in double quotes. Then we say ignore empty, or do you want to include the empty cells? Now think about Tony McGill. There is no middle name. So I would prefer to ignore empty cells. And then text 1. Here I select John, text 2 Michael, text 3 Smith. Or I might just select all three of them at one shot, and that's still absolutely fine. And just close the bracket, hit enter. You see, John, comma, space, Michael, comma, space, Smith. So I can either put a comma, I also give a space over here. I can just leave a space, and that should be fine. So the delimiter that you see over here is what should be. Excel asks you, what do you want to be shown between the values of these two cells? I chose to have this. Some might want to have an underscore, and that's absolutely fine. Something like this, depending on the way how you want this data. Now that's doing a great job here. Let's try the same thing over here. Again, TEXTJOIN. I need a space between delimiters, and yes, I want to ignore empty cells. I do not want the empty cells to be included. But before that, let us check what would happen if I include empty cells. We have this. I'll select this series, hit enter. You see there are two spaces now. But what if instead of false had it been true? That means ignore empty cells. You see, that's perfect. Now this function and this function both does the exact same job over here. There is no difference. I can just copy and paste it here. That saves a lot of efforts for me. I don't need to worry about whether is there any middle name, or is that just a K and a period, or see, the moment I enter K, this function takes care of that and automatically it adds the spaces there. We don't need to worry about that. And that's the beauty of this TEXTJOIN function. Now further, let's say here we have the name. I'll remove the K. Now I would like to know the length of this name over here. So we have the len function. I would like to know how many characters are there in this function. So I select this. Len is the function which is for returns the number of characters in a string. Select this, close the brackets and hit enter. You see 18 characters. Now this also includes the space within. In case if you want to double check, we can again use the len function, and this time I would select the one without spaces and close the brackets. You see 16 because there were two spaces here. So now this is about the len function. I say len, I select this and close the bracket. So this will help me find out length of the text in it. Well, in case if you have any numbers and you want to know how many digits are there, let's say if it was a credit card number that you were typing, and maybe you're not sure if you have entered all the numbers. It appears to be proper, but probably you might have missed on any. Now, some credit cards have 16 digits, and there are certain credit cards which have 12 digits. I remember one of the Amex cards having 12 digits. So here, when you click, you enter the credit card number somewhere aside, and then you try to get the length. Based on the number, you come to know whether you have entered all the numbers or you have entered more than what you are supposed to be. Maybe a double number. And that's the length function that helps you there. It also includes the spaces or any characters in it. Now, further, we also have another function. I'll start putting it over here, down. This would be quite convenient. We have used the length function, and now I would also use the find function. And what exactly is this find function here? I say equals find text within text and start number. Now, start number is optional. So find text, what do I want to find? Let's say I want to find the MNC in this full name, Tony McGill, over here, or in this TEXTJOIN cell. So I'll say MC. I need to find this within this cell over here, and close bracket. And find function will tell me the position of this expression, the string, that is this text, that is MNC. So it's on the 6th position. So we start with 1, O is in second, 3rd, 4th, 5th is the space, 6th is M, and then 7th is C. So the expression that you were looking for starts from the 6th position. That's what it tells you. Let's try this out. Now this was for Tony McGill, and let's try the similar thing for find. Well, let's say I want to find the middle name, or I just want to find where is the first space. So what does it look for? It's looking for a space within what text? Over here, and close the bracket. You see, it's in the 5th position. I say John, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 letters, and then the 5th position is a space. Now, once it finds the space, the function comes back. It does not hunt for any more spaces within that. The first time it finds it, that's it. Okay, that's the job of a find function there. Now, moving on, we also have some more functions like left, and then we have right. These are interesting functions, provided you have the opportunity to use them at the right places as well. For example, I want to know the initial 5 characters of any name. Okay, so I say, or let's say if not 5, I need 4 characters. So I say left. Now what is the text? I select this text, comma. It's asking you how many characters do you need. If I miss on this, although it's in square brackets, if I miss on this, I'll get just the first letter. That's J, as in John. So now I need the initial 4 letters. So I hit 4, and we have John over here. Let's say I hit 6. I put 6 over here. John M. That's John as 4 letters. 5th is the space, and 6th is Michael M for Michael over here. So John M is from left. It's the 6 characters. Now what if I need the characters from the right? 6 characters from the right. So I say right. From this, I need 6 characters. Hit enter, and it's Smith, S-M-I-T. So the count starts from the extreme right, H-T-I-M-S, and there's a space. Now I'm not sure if the space is included. Well, it clearly appears over here that there is some gap between the border. Well, I would want to double check. So instead of 6, I would select, let's say, 8 characters. That's working. Now I could just copy paste this function. For those who want to try, please try it out manually by yourself as well. It's the same thing. Now how to make sense out of this? Let's try another example. Here we have the length. We have worked on all of these examples over here. Let me also just introduce you to another function called as trim. Before I proceed with the trim function, I would like to have an example here. So I'll use this cell over here where we had entered 8 characters. I'll use 6 over here. So we see there is a space before the word Smith. So now if I were to use the trim function and select this text, click, close the bracket, and you see the space vanished. So it removes any form of space that is there. Now, can I try the same thing on the name above over here? Let's say trim, say John Michael Smith. Well, it does no difference here because we never had any space before John, neither did we have any space between Smith, neither did we have any space after Smith. So that's perfectly fine. It does not remove any space in between, but yes, if there is any space either in the beginning or at the end, Excel takes it. Excel takes it away. Now let's say I only want the first name and not the last name from this string over here. We'll focus on this using TEXTJOIN, and from this I only want to extract the first name and not the last name. So how do I do that? I'll try to use the combination of all of these and work it out. So first thing, I would want to find a space where within this text, I want to know the position of the space over here. It's in the 5th position. That means anything before the 5th position, I want that, correct? So I will try to encapsulate this or put this under the left function. I say left, and first it asks me from which cell do you want the left text. So I click on this, comma. How many characters do you need? Now here, the find function returns number 5. So that means John and then the space. If I were to just close this bracket, that's absolutely fine, but I see a space. There is a space which is not visible, but yes, there is. So a good idea would be when I use the find function, I know this find function returns 5, the number 5 for the space. I want all those letters before the space. So that's the initial 4 letters. So I enter -1. So if find results 5, which is the 5th position of the space, I deduct 1 from it such that the length, this 5 turns out to be number 4. It changes to number 4 and this number 4 gets replaced over here. The function gets replaced with number 4 and we have this function something like this. I hit enter and we have John here. Now let me bring back the function here. I'll type this again. So it should be left Tony McGill. Now how many characters do I need? I need I don't know, there could be some short name or could be a longer name. So I say find what? A space, comma, within what text? Within this same text. And then I know whatever character I get, that's the 5th character in this case, and I only need 4 characters. So I put a -1 here. So everything before the space would be covered. Hit enter and you have Tony here. Now I do have some more functions called lower, and then we also have upper, and there's something called as proper. Now, what exactly are these functions? Let's check them out. I say equal lower. Now what does this function do? Converts all letters in a text string to lowercase. Very good. So we have this name over here. You see there are some in uppercase, some in lowercase. Let's try this out. Everything in lowercase. Now let's try this with uppercase. So we have upper. I select the same name, close the brackets. We have this, everything in upper. But what about proper? We say proper. What does it do? Converts a text string to proper case. That means the first letter in each word to uppercase and all others to lowercase. So now you see it's already in a proper format here, but let me show you how does this work. We just need to select this and close the bracket. That's it. Here you may not be able to see much of a difference, but you will likely see a difference if I were to select this cell. Why? Because John Michael Smith is appearing as a single word. So J must be capital and rest everything in small. Let's try this out. Well, you see that? It's a single word. So anything in between the word, everything is made to lowercase except for the first letter of each word. Now that's the proper function for you. These are some interesting ones which at times you might need to make your data look much more organized and presentable. And when you talk about the len function and find left, you might use them at times depending on the skill and the way how you want to approach while working with some advanced analysis part.